I think we hit Fez with his best bet next, Jonas. Let's see if he can deliver. No box score reading.
And here we go. It is in the Cleveland Browns Houston Texans game.
Go, Steve, go.
I like Cleveland here. I really like Cleveland. Huge weather advantage. 2 weeks.
So line right now?
-4 I'm laying here.
Okay.
So Cleveland 2 weeks ago, they played in conditions you wouldn't expect the rest of the year. 40-mile-an-hour winds. It was nasty.
It was in Cleveland against the Raiders.
Right. And what's happening now? They're playing in almost as nasty weather forecasted for Sunday. 30-mile-an-hour winds, supposed to rain again. I think this is an enormous advantage for a Cleveland team that got to play in their very last game in the same set of circumstances. And who are they playing? A team from the South that plays in a dome, Houston, that likes to throw the ball more than run the ball. So because of that, I think Houston's offense is really going to struggle.
All right, so the total in this game opened 55.5. Texans, Browns. It is currently 45.5. A 10-point drop. You don't see that very often, especially days ahead of knowing the weather for sure, because we all know the weatherman isn't 100%. So I don't think I've ever seen an NFL game move 10 points by Friday, meaning I've seen it come Sunday. Here's something about weather games that isn't obvious, and it's something I've just learned in the last year or two. Look closely at short passes. So there's different places you can look and say, how does this team do when they throw the ball short? So Next Gen Stats will have a heat map when it comes to every quarterback over the course of games, in the course of the season, and you can say, is it green? Is it red in each of the zones? So they have a left, middle, right zone, short, medium, and long. So there's 9 zones, and you want to look at that left, middle, and right, short. And then how does the defenses do against short passes? Some teams do really well against short passes. Others don't. Slower teams usually struggle with it. Faster teams do fine with it defensively. But that is equally as important, Steve, I believe, in a big weather game. And remember, weather is not all created equal. Cold, we don't mind cold. Cold doesn't affect these guys much until it gets to maybe 15 degrees, all right? Rain doesn't affect them. In fact, you could make the case that rain helps the offense because the offense knows which way they're going, the defense doesn't. And if the offense stumbles, there's one guy out of his route. If a defender stumbles, it may be an easy touchdown. So slippery, rain, a little snow, no problem. Wind. It doesn't matter how cold it is. Wind is the culprit that stops offenses, especially modern offenses that throw. Would you agree, Fez, that those short passes, both how you throw them and how you defend them, is key?
Absolutely. And one guy that thrives on those short passes is Houston's running back, David Johnson. He's out for this game.
Concussion?
Yeah, so the backup Duke Johnson not nearly as good in those routes. And this is a Houston team that was already last in the league in rushing the ball.
To close up here, Fez, this line was 2.5 on Monday, got to 3. Then on Friday, it jumped to 3.5. Now it's up to 4. So we've seen the total drop 10 points, but the market is agreeing with you. The weather benefits the Browns.
Absolutely.
And maybe it's not as applicable this week, but one thing to keep our eye on, Deshaun Watson, after that first 3 games, that was a murderer's row against Kansas City, against Baltimore, against Pittsburgh. Those teams, by the way, have 3 losses combined on the season. Think about that a second. 3 teams, 3 losses. Watson has 13 touchdowns and 2 interceptions since then. So he's protected the ball well. Watson is quietly having a career year, but the weather here, I think, hinders him greatly, especially without his key back. I tend to agree with the pick. I think we're losing a little value. Would you agree if the listeners like this one, bet it quick?
Absolutely. I think it just continues to move, right?
All right, so RJ, a couple of games that are currently off the board, but we have estimated lines on these 2 games. And let's go to the AFC North first, where the Bengals are at the Steelers. And the estimated line on this one is Pittsburgh -7.
All right, now here's the thing about this game. A lot of analysis you're going to hear is saying, okay, Bengals are hot. Joe Burrow covers. But when did they get killed? Against Baltimore. Well, what does Baltimore have? They have that aggressive pressure defense. Well, you know who else has a pressure defense? The Steelers. Now, that's where the amateurs are stopping, okay? But here is where we're going to keep going. The thing about Baltimore, that defense has a really strong record against inexperienced quarterbacks. It's not just because of the pressure. It's because what they do with the pressure. So you might remember the movie Wedding Crashers, when Vince Vaughn was going, hot route, hot route. Well, what is a hot route? A hot route is when you see a blitz coming from a certain place, instinctually quarterbacks are supposed to throw to the empty spot. And they are taught that, and that's what most of them do. The Ravens have a very complex system where they actually drop defenders into that zone and really wreak havoc with inexperienced quarterbacks. Joe Burrow really performed poorly, only game. Pittsburgh, though they're very aggressive with the pressure, it's not the same type. They're going to be mighty good defensively, but it doesn't especially confuse young quarterbacks. So as much as the Ravens and the Steelers do have things in common, don't mistake the way the Ravens played against the Bengals for the way Pittsburgh's defense will go against Joe Burrow. I think he'll have much more success.
And the next one, this game is currently off the board in most places, but the estimate line on Washington at Detroit is the Lions -3.5.
Listen, we very much appreciate and respect and glorify Alex Smith's comeback. And he's the favorite to win the comeback player of the year. And you know what? I kind of see the point on that, because from where he came from to where he is, to just be able to be competent or borderline competent in an NFL game is amazing. Kudos. As much as we appreciate Alex Smith's comeback, the thing you can't forget is the players know Haskins would do better. Haskins would be how much of an upgrade? Significant.
1.
Oh, you're wrong. Wrong. Oh, my gosh, that's crazy. You might want to dig in. Maybe Haskins doesn't matter at this point. I don't know if he'll ever start again. But even with 1, let's say with your crazy number, why are they starting the lesser player? The team knows that, and it hurts the team morale. Washington's morale is hurt in a way by Alex Smith as much as we all appreciate his comeback.
We then jump to Green Bay, where the Packers are hosting the Jaguars, and the Packers are a 13-point favorite on pregame.com.
Obviously, with Green Bay, it's a matter of motivation to some degree. If they want to win this game by more, they probably can. But let's hold on a minute. Luton is a quarterback that I didn't know much about, but by most professionals' accounts, he had a very impressive first start. So as much as it feels like, they're throwing in the towel, I think, again, with the concept of the team, understanding how good the quarterback is, that performance maybe have perked up Jacksonville. I would say I'm as inclined to bet Jacksonville this week as I have been for a while. I probably won't bet them, but I think Luton, especially with there being extra points that come with him, is better than Minshew here. I mean, would you rather have Minshew at plus 10.5, Fez, or Luton at plus 13?
The plus 13, and especially with 25-mile-an-hour winds, that might keep scoring down harder to cover, is a big favorite.
Good point.
Big matchup in the NFC East, believe it or not. It is the Eagles at the Giants. Philly, a 4-point favorite.
Ooh, so Fez, we had a crossfire in this game yesterday. You got annihilated. Are you pressing the button? Ooh.
Yep, I'm on.
Your button even didn't.
What? It did.
It doesn't even believe.
It knows.
It's refusing.
It heard the crossfire where you thumped me bad.
Say no.
All right. The Phillies off a bye. The injury report's really good. Get back my stud running back, Miles Sanders, and get back my tight end, Goddard, at 100%. Remember, Ertz is out. That tight end's really important, and Lane Johnson back as well.
To the NFC South we go, where the Bucs are at the Panthers. Tampa, a 5.5-point favorite on pregame.com.
Trend of the week, when Tom Brady in his career since 2003, when Tom Brady loses a game by double digits, and he did lose a game by double digits, 18-2 straight up the next game, 17-3 against the spread. 17-3 spot for Tom Brady and the Bucs. I think there's another reason to like Tampa here. Think about the Saints. and think about Carolina. Carolina is like the junior version of the Saints. You've got a quarterback from the Saints who's also not a strong arm, but smart game manager. You've got Joe Brady, who used to be with the Saints. It's a very similar franchise, but it's a very junior version. And just like when there's one fastball pitcher and the next day you have another, when you play a similar scheme, a similar team, that second week, it's an advantage for the Bucs. So you've got the 17-3 Brady trend after a double-digit loss, and I think matchup-wise, an advantage. Fez, you've got a pick on this. Woo!
Yeah, I'm on Carolina here. I like the trend line that these young Panthers have gone on. Started the year 0-2 against the spread, currently 5-2, a team that is improving.
All right, Crossfire. Oh, no, Crossfire. I'm just going to auto bet them. Throw an extra hundo on that one.
Straight Out of Vegas stays in Vegas, where the Raiders are hosting the Broncos. Right now, the Raiders are a 3.5-point favorite on pregame.com.
The fullback is injured. What? What is this, 1970? The Raiders have a fullback, Alec Ingold. Now, he's questionable. He may play, but if he doesn't play, you know what? The Raiders don't have a backup. And a lot of their sets involve a fullback. And even if Alec Ingold does play, it's a situation where, being banged up, do they get a little less physical with him? Do they go away from those sets a little bit? Treat him gingerly. If so, I think it's a big disadvantage for the Raiders.
To L.A. we go, where the Seahawks are at the Rams. The Rams are a 2-point favorite.
Fez, you got this one.
Yeah, the Rams are off a bye, and I could make the case no team needed that bye more than the Rams, who had to travel 4 times already to the East Coast. You talk about travel fatigue. That's over with 14 days to prep. I like the Rams here, minus the 2.
The Rams, their offense is predicated on the run. The thing that Seattle does exceptionally well, and it's really borderline exceptional, is defend the run. DVOA, Seattle against the run, number 9. They're horrible against the pass. You might say, well, Jared Goff will be okay. Check this out about Jared Goff. It's disturbing for Fez in his bet here. Jared Goff averaged a 67 PFF rating throughout the first games except the last 2, so I guess 6 games, okay? And so think of that. That would have been the 12th highest rating in PFF. So 12th ranked quarterback. The last 2 games, he had an average in the low 40s. So 67 to the low 40s. He would be the 48th ranked quarterback in the low 40s. Faz, I don't know if you know this, 32 teams. You better be concerned because they're not going to be able to run the ball too well.
I'm okay. There's a good series history of Goff versus Seattle.
I just bet you on it.
So from there to Sunday Night Football we go. It's the Ravens at the Patriots. Baltimore is a 7-point favorite on pregame.com.
So we talked about Lamar Jackson, a lot of talk. I thought loose talk. Why do you go on a radio show and unprompted in a way start talking about how the other team knows what you're going to run? Maybe it's a sign of some dissension. Now, on the other hand, you could say, boy, if you look at last year, the Ravens dominated an 8-0 Patriots team. That was the coming out party for this dominant Baltimore team. But then on the other hand, you could say you give Belichick a second chance, he's going to do something with it. I'm not sure in that ping pong game where to stop, but here's what I know. We have a season of stats, and what's happened is Baltimore cannot run the ball on first down. Everything they do is predicated on getting that 5 yards, that 6 yards. Last year, when the Baltimore Ravens ran the ball on first down, they had the second highest success rate of any team in the NFL. This year, when they run on first down, they're number 21. The Ravens, who are supposed to be able to run on first down, are number 21, and they run top 10 frequency on first down. So the Ravens aren't changing what they're doing, and they're not being successful running the ball on first down. I don't know if Belichick's going to be able to exploit it because he does have a slow defense, and that's death against Lamar. But I think this Ravens team is not near the team we had last year.
I agree with what you said about Baltimore, but New England is overrated, and New England can't stop the run. 31st in the league against it. Baltimore should have success.
How many times are going to have to teach you? It's not about stopping the run against Baltimore. It's about stopping running quarterbacks. But in truth, New England struggles with that too.
We go to South Florida where the Dolphins are hosting the Chargers, and Miami is a 1.5-point favorite on pregame.com.
You learn more from your mistakes than you do from your successes. And I made a big mistake on Tua. So in the first game, Tua was bad. And not only was he bad, but it looked like he was being protected. What do I mean? Is they were throwing the ball on first down, Miami, less than any team this season, meaning the amount they were throwing on first down would have been ranked 32nd, the least throwing team. Wow, you're protecting the rookie quarterback. That's what I thought. So I was pessimistic the next week against Arizona. What I didn't see was, and I couldn't see it really, because Miami in that game was getting a bunch of turnovers. That was against the Rams. They didn't need to show what Tua could do. So he looked extra conservative. Why? Low risk, because you had the lead after the turnovers. But last week, Miami threw the ball on first down in a way that would have ranked first in the NFL. So the first game of Tua, they throw enough to rank 32nd on first down, and the next game throw enough to rank first. Miami's been confident about Tua the whole time, and quite frankly, Tua played exceptionally well. Now, there's a COVID outbreak and all those other factors, but in general, Tua, it wasn't just one bad game and one good game. I think what we saw was that bad game was sort of camouflage, and they were hiding how good Tua is.
RJ, we already heard one best bet earlier in the show. It was the Browns and the Houston Texans, that courtesy of Steve Fezzik. We've now got your best bet, and it involves the Niners and the New Orleans Saints.
So here's the best bet. It is the San Francisco 49ers, and there's 10s out there, right, Fez?
Oh, yes.
10, 10, 10. This pick is about buying low and selling high. Now, what is the highest point in your power ratings, Fez, that the Saints have been this entire year?
Right now.
Interesting. Now, what's the lowest point the 49ers have been this year?
Right now.
Jonas, you think it's a cliche. It's buying low, selling high. Now, typically, Fez, when you got a team that reaches its pinnacle, its plateau, does it keep going up usually, or does it tend to regress to the mean?
Regression.
Doesn't always. Sometimes a team will keep, like Ravens kept going and going. But far more than not, when a team reaches that, especially halfway through the year, when they reach their high point, chances are the next tick's going down.
Yes.
And it's the inverse when you reach a low point. Now, what do you think? 49ers, they've been in the Super Bowl last year. Maybe they're going to give up on the season. Maybe. But 10 games ago, or 10 days ago, in the last game, they got embarrassed on national television against Green Bay. So even if it's going to be hit or miss, one game intense, one game not so much, and I'm not sure it will even be that for the 49ers. I think they'll be even more focused generally because they have a really good coach. Top 5, top 7 coach, Shanahan. And let's be candid. Do you really want a team that you might be battling for the NFC title in years to come to get some edge on you? This is the kind of game they get up for. So to me, this is all about value. And the last way to look at that value is, let's think about what this line was. Fez, I'm going to quiz you on this. What was the line when this was the look-ahead line last week? So last week you could have bet this game, and the look-ahead line was
6.5.
Okay. So what's happened since the 6.5?
We saw Green Bay get rolled San Francisco Thursday night, prime time, and then Sunday Night Football, we saw New Orleans destroy Tampa Bay.
Okay, so how much adjustment do you make on that kind of thing?
Yeah, you'd adjust 1.5 for one team, 1 point for the other, maybe 2.5 point adjustment.
Okay, so my thought is, if you have a 2.5 point adjustment and you're going from 6.5, it gets you to 9.
Yes.
But what else has happened with injuries? I mean, 49ers, I think, generally are healthier today than they were a week ago.
Yeah, get their wide receivers, Bourne, Ayuk, maybe Samuel back, and their tackle, Trent Williams.
So let's call it 1.5, 2 points?
Yeah.
1.5, 2? Let's call it 2. So now we're back down to 6. Or we could say 7. But you know what? It doesn't effing matter because we're getting 10, right? So this is pure value. And remember, you have to be willing to be embarrassed. You have to be willing to bet a game that seems absurd, that people laugh at you over. Oh, you bet the 49ers when they lose by 30, in order to get the value. Because for those rare occasions that you're just playing wrong, you win a lot of games by a point or two because you're getting that extra value.